People often, when they do landscapes, think automatically about painting a blue sky, but I'd like to think about maybe an afternoon sky that's starting to get a little bit of unusual color. It's maybe a hazy, warm, sunny day in late summer, early fall. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start very close to the horizon line, and I'm going to be careful not to pick up some of these dark tree areas. So this is a sort of a pale yellow color that's going on top of the orangey color that we put on. So I'm picking up a little bit of the blue-violet there, and I have to clean off my knife. Often I'll try to have a fairly light glow at the horizon, so if this paint has time to set up, I'm going to come back in with an even lighter color right along this edge. So I still want to keep it fairly thin. Probably the hardest part of a painting like this is getting the sky to butt up against trees, because I'm working a very light color against a very dark color, and I want to be careful not to pick it up. I'm still able to see some of my linen texture, even though I have probably a 1/16 of an inch of thickness in some places, maybe even a little bit more. And I think what I want to do is have this transition to be a little bit more orangey, a little bit darker as it moves up to the top of my canvas. When you're mixing light colors, it's important to remember that nearly all of the pigments are much stronger than white. So I start with a pile of white and add little bits of color to it. If you try to lighten colors with white, you'll end up using half a tube of white just getting to that stage. Pull a little bit of red in here, make it a little bit more orangey. And then what I'll do before I put it on my canvas is I'll move my knife up against the canvas and make sure, because I'm reacting to white here of the palette, but when I get to the painting it's reacting to all the other colors. So it looks okay. Color mixing is a really important thing to do in every painting, but when you're doing a painting like this where you're having a lot of pure color sitting on the surface, if you use a lot of color right out of the tube, it's going to have a garish look, and it's really hard to make a painting work that way. Often I recommend that for people starting out that you don't put any color on your canvas unless it has a little bit of something else added to it. That way you're in control of the color and you're not just settling for a color out of the tube. It also helps beginning artists to limit the number of colors they have on their palette. That way all of the colors that hit the canvas are colors that the artist decided on. What I'm going to do now is smooth out some of the heavier strokes. So I'm actually pulling away some of the paint, exposing a little bit of the earlier orange, but I'm getting that direction of stroke that I was hoping for. With knife painting, taking away paint is almost as important as adding paint. What I need to do now is bring some of this warm light into the water down here, but in general, color that's in the water needs to be a slightly darker value than color that's in the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up another version of these orangey yellow colors, but a darker version. I keep mixing until I see that I don't have lots of streaks of color through the mixture. And if you do that, you'll have pretty clean color on your painting. Otherwise, the strokes will appear very chaotic. And I'm going to look at the value and see if it's okay. And I'm looking at that and I'm deciding it's a little too light. So what I'm going to do is scrape that off carefully. And I'm not worried about leaving some of it on there. And I'm just going to remix my paint with a little bit more raw sienna just to bring it down in value a notch. So I'll try it again, and it's just a hair darker, and that's going to work fine, I think. I'm going to switch to a smaller knife, and I haven't used this knife yet. It's this one is a number 41, and this will let me get into slightly smaller places here. Now I'm using opposite colors in the color wheel, blue and orange, and I have to be careful that they don't mix too much, or I'm going to end up with lots of grays. I'm going to lose my intensity. And so it goes on a little bit rough at first, and then I can smooth it out once I don't have as much paint on my knife. What I'm going to also do to make these colors blend in is I'm going to mix up a blue-violet color that's the same value. I'm going to bring that into these colors so they can feel a little bit more integrated. So now I'm scraping away paint and letting it sort of blend in.